What's good? It's your boy Fanon. All right, back to business. Got Gervonta, Tank Davis, and Tevin Farmer is one of the fights that last year in 2017, early part of this year, a lot of people were talking about. Of course, those guys had a confrontation in Vegas after a fight. Tevin Farmer now holds the IBF 130-pound title that was previously held by Gervonta Davis, and Tevin Farmer fought a Francisco Fonseca, who was once again, this is the second weekend in a row where somebody that was supposed to fight or people want to see fight Tank Davis fought somebody that he fought. And I'm telling you, Lomachenko and Tevin Farmer, both of their fights just made Gervonta Davis look like a lot better fighter because they both went the distance with guys that Gervonta Davis got out of there really, really easy. He got Fonseca out of there easy after a couple rounds. I guess it wasn't quite as easy with Jose Pedraza, but he beat the brakes off Jose Pedraza. So these guys that are talking about that fans are talking about fighting Gervonta Davis back-to-back weekends have difficulties with his leftovers, and that to me makes this cat look like, hey, man, maybe Gervonta Davis is a little better than y'all think he is. Now, before I go into that, I want to thank, and what I think should happen next with Gervonta Davis, Lomachenko, and Tevin Farmer. I want to say thank you to the subscribers to the channel. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can be notified when we release more videos. And also when we do our live streams in the morning, usually check us out after Trail Bison Talk right around 10 a.m. Central Time, 10 to 10:15 a.m. Central Time. But if you hit the bell icon, you should be notified. If you don't get the notification, just go ahead and look in your subscriptions, and if you got a little red light there, we're on and we're going. Now, here's the thing. Again, as far as Tank Davis, the fight that happened with Tevin Farmer is a good fighter. Tevin Farmer, I thought, won the fight against Fonseca, but because of what he did in the beginning rounds, being very difficult to hit, but at a certain point, he started sitting down, started to fight on the inside with Fonseca, and the fight got a lot closer. I thought that Tevin Farmer's inside defensive game is slipping and counterpunching and all that was better than, well, at least I thought it was better than what I saw on Saturday night. So it wound up being I think that was the best fight of the night. And that and the Katie Taylor fight were the best fight of the night. It wound up being a fight where it was not some type of mismatch. It wasn't a situation where Fonseca didn't belong in the ring with him. And he made Tevin Farmer look bad at times. Made him look definitely on the inside, made him look very easy to hit at times. So versus what happened with Gervonta Davis. Now, how I recall the fight with Francisco Fonseca versus Gervonta Davis, Fonseca was baiting Gervonta Davis to try to come in, and he was trying to counterpunch him or trying to time him on his way in, which caused Gervonta Davis a little bit of problems at first until he figured him out. But once he figured him out and he got to him, man, his shots were just too much for Francisco Fonseca to handle. And he winds up pummeling Francisco Fonseca. Now, the bad thing about that fight, obviously, was that that was the fight that Gervonta Davis had lost his belt on the scale, had lost his title on the scales. Unprofessional, absolutely. But in the actual fight, man, it was just, other than the way that Gervonta Davis jumped on the top of him, some people said he hit him when he was down, or he hit him on the way down, or behind the head, or something like that. And then he got on top of him and he did this kind of, little gyration on the top of him, a little extra showmanship, which, obviously was not necessary. So, he took a lot of heat. Gervonta Davis took a lot of heat from that. And that was on the undercard of the Floyd Mayweather Jr. versus Conor McGregor fight. So, it just wasn't the best. Even though Francisco Fonseca got knocked out. Francisco Fonseca wasn't making out of that fight no matter what happened. And Gervonta Davis showed that he was just levels above. He's just levels above Francisco Fonseca. So I know that the triangle theories don't work, right? Where you say, okay, Gervonta Davis beat Jose Pedraza a lot easier than Lomachenko did, but so therefore Gervonta Davis is going to beat Lomachenko, or Gervonta Davis beat Francisco Fonseca a lot more easily than Tevin Farmer did, so therefore Gervonta Davis is going to beat Tevin Farmer. That's not what I'm proposing here, because I know that is not the case. There's all kind of stuff in boxing history where three fighters fight each other and the outcomes just really depend on the style. The best example of that obviously is the Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, George Foreman triangle, right? Or the Muhammad Ali, Ken Norton, George Foreman triangle, where Ken Norton and Foreman gave Ali a lot of trouble. Both of them had won fights against Ali, and George Foreman demolished them. So people thought, okay, well, Ali's going to get demolished by George Foreman, and then Ali just beats up George Foreman and wins the belt, right? So that we know that those triangle situations, comparisons don't work. But what is clear is that Jose Pedraza was a better fighter than people were giving him credit for after he got knocked out by Gervonta Davis. He went on and he beat Ray Beltran. I think he was an underdog against Ray Beltran. I think he won that fight. He won that fight convincingly, polished it off with a knockdown at the end, and gained a world title at a second weight class. Right? Then he comes in against a massive underdog against Vasily Lomachenko, goes the distance against Vasily Lomachenko, marks scars up Vasily Lomachenko, and has showed that he was a very, very difficult problem to solve for Vasily Lomachenko. And I don't really care what anybody got to say about it being a dominating performance for Vasily Lomachenko, man. That was not a dominating performance for Vasily Lomachenko. That and that other than the fight that Vasily Lomachenko lost against Orlando Salido, man, the last two fights that he had and the Gary Russell fight, I guess. But this is probably, I would suspect, was for Vasily Lomachenko his second hardest fight against Pedraza, maybe after Orlando Salido, and maybe a little bit more difficult than Jorge Linares, right? But somewhere in there. So you see that this dude is a world-class fighter. Pedraza is a world-class fighter. But people weren't giving that type of credit when Gervonta Davis beat him. They were like, who is he beaten? Now you got but Tevin Farmer's a slightly different case here. Tevin Farmer just had difficulty with a guy that I don't believe is a world-class fighter. I mean, I don't believe is an upper echelon fighter in Francisco Fonseca. And I do believe that the way that fight turned out would let us know what would happen again with Tevin Farmer and Gervonta Davis. Tevin Farmer is too easy to hit on the inside. If he's going to try to box, I can't see him beating Gervonta Davis. I just my mind's eyes, the way I see that fight playing off, I don't see him beating Gervonta Davis. I've never seen him beat Gervonta Davis. But if he ever gets into a scenario where he's fighting Gervonta Davis in the same manner that he was fighting Francisco Fonseca in maybe, what was it, rounds 7 through 10, maybe 7 through 10, he was fighting in that pass, maybe a little more, a little less. If he ever fights Gervonta Davis, man, he's going to get blown out fighting like that. There ain't no way, man, he's going to take those shots. So, again, 2 weeks in a row, I've seen people fight Gervonta Davis leftovers and people that Gervonta Davis absolutely positively ran through. And I've watched these guys have a lot of difficulty with those fighters. So either we just got two funny matchup styles in a row, or people need to start understanding and appreciating Gervonta Davis for what this dude is. Gervonta Davis is one of the most talented fighters in boxing. Gervonta Davis has got one of the best skill sets in boxing. And Gervonta Davis, that is no little thing to try to overcome the fact that dude can absolutely. He's blazing fast. He's got very good defense. He punches in between punches so very well. I love how he dips down his head, his upper body movement, close in and countering off that. But that power is just something nasty, man. He's just a top-notch dude. Now, I want to see Gervonta Davis in there against Miguel Berchelt. I want to see him in there against Tevin Farmer. Of course, I want to see him get undisputed or at least fight for that in the 130-pound division. But I'm telling you, man, the way that I'm looking at these two competitors looked when they got out there and fought other people who are high-level fighters or are supposed to be high-level fighters in the case of Tevin Farmer, man, I think people need to look at the wins that Gervonta Davis has and maybe give him a little bit more credit as a fighter and not make excuses for it. When it happened with Lomachenko, it was just, okay, yeah, it's Lomachenko had surgery. Lomachenko was playing around. Lomachenko, Jose Pedraza didn't train for Tevin, didn't train for Gervonta Davis, all that type of stuff. But what's the excuse? What's the excuse this week? Right? What is it about Francisco Fonseca that gave Tevin Farmer such a hard time? Right? What was it about Gervonta Davis where Gervonta Davis could run through Francisco Fonseca, but Gervonta Davis could not? And I do not believe but Tevin Farmer could not. Other than obviously the fact that neither one of Lomachenko or Tevin Farmer have the power that Gervonta Davis does. But then again, I don't think anybody does. Definitely not at 130, and Lomachenko's up there at 135. But at 130, even Miguel Berchelt need to be, I know he talks about, I've heard him say he wants to fight Gervonta Davis. Miguel Berchelt better be careful what you ask for, because that, this boy's the real deal, man. He's the real deal. But anyway, it is what it is, and with that, I'm out. Peace.